Today in Carline, I am sharing our adoption story. So if you are interested in hearing about how God worked all things together to put a new kiddo in our family, stick around. Hey there, I'm Tabitha Filan, and I am your hostess with the mostest for Carline. Yeah, I'm sitting here in Carline, and today I want to share with you our adoption story. Listen, I'm going to be real honest. This is probably going to take a couple of parts, and I hate to leave you with cliffhangers and stuff, but it's a good story, so stick with it. It's going to bless you. I hope it blesses you. It blessed me. Anyway, so let's go back in time to like the fall of 2016. And we had placed our children in private school. Now, what you need to understand about this is our family was a homeschool family, and Meet Penny was built, the blog was built as like a place for people to learn how to live frugally because they were homeschooling their kids. And I had a lot of very dynamic partnerships with big homeschool brands. So whenever I felt God telling us, okay, I want you to put your kids in this private school over here, that was no easy task. So they had been in this school for about a year, and then this new kid shows up. You know, it's a very small private school, so you notice when new people are added, and it was a classmate of my daughter's. Now, just a little public service announcement. I'm going to call him Lou because that's something we did way back whenever I started authoring online. Was we decided not to tell our children's names, their real names. It's more for their safety. I guess it's more for their safety or than their privacy because people see their pictures, but it works for us. So for the purpose of online, I'm going to call him Lou. As in the Moldovan Lou. Okay. All right. So Lou became a classmate with my oldest child, and he would come over. We would have these big play dates we called Super Saturdays, where she would invite her friends over and they'd play games and they'd eat pizza, and it was just a lot of fun. And his mom would bring him. I think she brought him 2 or 3 times, and I was able to talk with her out in the front yard. And it was just fun. It was just so much fun. And I think the last time we had one, his aunt brought him. But at the very first Super Saturday, the kids were all playing hide and seek, and we had a little house, but I didn't care. And they were all running around, and I had tried to remove myself from the group so I wouldn't go insane. But he sought me out, and he said, "Hey, do you like having 4 kids?" Oh, weird question. Yes, I do, I told him. And he said, "Well, do you think you might want to adopt one day?" And I mean, that's something my husband and I had always talked about, becoming a foster parent or adopting. And so I answered him honestly because I'm super transparent. I said, "Yeah, actually, you know, me and my husband have talked about that." And he said, "Well, would you adopt me if something happens to my parents?" Now, I had worked with children and studied childhood education for like 20 years. So I know that children can have irrational fears and they think something's going to happen to their parents. And I just figured that's what this was. So I just kind of redirected him. I don't even know. I probably said something like, "Yeah, if it was ever necessary." I honestly don't remember exactly how I replied to him. I definitely wouldn't have shut him down. I know that for a fact because I wouldn't do that to any child. But I didn't want to encourage him either because, again, I thought this was just like an irrational fear that he had. So anyway, so that brought us to the spring of 2017, and summer rolled around. Everybody went their separate ways. You know, we didn't see Lou every day because it was summer. Well, come to find out, his mother passed away that summer. the summer of 2017. And I did not find out until school had been back in session for, I guess, about a week. And my daughter came home saying, yeah, Lou shared this prayer request saying that his mom died. Well, I misunderstood. I thought that they meant like that day. And so I go running up to the school. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And they're like, oh, no, that happened during the summer. And, we've already supported the family and we're done. Well, the kid lost his mom. He's obviously still thinking about it because he's bringing it up at school as a prayer request. They need more support. So we kept reaching out and got to know his dad. And this is such a crazy thing. So his father, our families had crossed paths and run in similar circles for a very long time. The more I talked to him, we became great friends. He had his problems, but I was very patient, and he would call me and he would just want to talk for an hour or two, and I would just let him talk. And he would always tell me, I love my kids. I'll do anything for my kids. And over the process of time, he would say, well, if anything ever happens to me, I have this one chosen relative that I'd like for Lou to go with, but if she doesn't want him, I want him to come to you. And I would tell him, look, you're going to live forever. Nothing's going to happen. But anyway, during our conversations, we discovered we actually had lots in common, like family wise. Like his first wife was like my second cousin or something. Like we had the same, like my great grandmother was her aunt. Yeah. I think that's how it went. Anyway, so like her children, I was actually related to. I wasn't related to Lou, but his wife's children from a previous relationship I was related to. And I'm like, well, that's just really weird. And as we're getting to know the family better, it come to find out, he and my aunt on my mom's side, or a lady who became my aunt, had dated before she became my aunt. Weird. So he, we would talk about her and how she was doing. And then on the other side of my family, on my dad's side, his sister, my aunt on that side, had hung out in the same friend group with Lou's dad and liked his name so much that she named her firstborn son by the same name. This is like mind-blowing stuff. How many times our paths crossed, and we're not in a small town. We're living in the same community. But how many hundreds of thousands of people live in the same community, and I'm not related to them. And an aunt on both sides of my family had somehow known Lou's dad, and it was just, so we became really good friends, really tight. He'd call me periodically. He let Lou come over. Well, I threw him his first birthday party ever when he turned 13. And we had Lou come over for weeks at a time. Like one time his dad was in the hospital and Lou was with us for 2 weeks at that point. And, he came weekends, and his dad was very sad having lost his wife. And he would send Lou over for holidays, for Christmas. Lou spent several Christmases with us, and we treated him just like we treated our own children. And we bought Christmas for him just like we bought for our own kids. There just wasn't a difference there. And we just kind of merged our families together with his dad. And we lived, that was our normal, I just took care of his dad as if he were my brother. And we were tight. And I knew he was getting sicker and sicker because his trips to the hospital were becoming more and more. And so they had a relative move in, and I didn't get to talk to him as often. And that hurt. it hurt to have to go through somebody to talk to my friend, but it was what it was, and we made do. And during that time, we still saw Lou. He still came over, probably not as frequently once that relative moved in, but we still saw him a lot, and he would stay with us, several days in a row, kind of thing. Well, so let me get my dates straight. Here, I wrote it down because I didn't want to screw up the dates. This summer, it was the summer of 2019. His father passed away. Lou's father passed away. And man, I knew it was coming. And I would tell him when we were talking on the phone, I'd be like, you need to write all this stuff down. I don't care if you grab a napkin and you write all this stuff down that you're telling me, you need to write it down. Oh, no. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. But it wasn't fine. And when he passed, I knew. I had been told several times. Lou was supposed to go live with this particular relative, not the one that lived in the house with them. Okay? Was supposed to go live with this relative, and if she didn't want Lou, he was supposed to come live with me. But when his father passed, the relative that moved in had told me, well, you weren't there. You don't know that he changed his mind, and he wanted him to stay with me. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to fight. This child, Lou, had been through so much. Lost his mom. Not even 2 years later, lost his dad. In between those two, he had lost his full-blood brother in a tragic accident. So he'd lost his three immediate family members, all in less than 3 years. And I was not going to fight and cause him more trauma. I mean, we did contact a couple of attorneys and said, what should we do? And we were told we didn't have a shot. And we believed them. We totally believed them. And I think at that point I was so confused because I was like, God, why did you weave our two families so tightly together? So we just figured we're supposed to support the live-in relative. That's what we were supposed to do. We were supposed to throw our support behind him. And that's what we did. We served him just the same way we served his dad. We were there whenever he needed us. And Lou still came over and stayed with us for weeks at a time. He stayed with us for holidays because it wasn't an ideal situation at his house. The relative had... I don't want to give too much information away. And this video is getting a little long for Carline. So we're definitely going to have to make this the part 2. And I'm so sorry. But come back tomorrow and let me tell you some more awesomeness that God did, okay? I'll see you then.